guys, talk about chassis today, and as you can see, here's my chassis on its rotisserie, and I'll show you some more now. I want to talk about rust, I want to talk about build quality, I've got some questions for you, and I really want to talk about the rear cross member. So let's get to it. Just before we talk about chassis, I think we'll get guard on. Okay, so we've got the guard dog looking after the chassis. Here it is on its rotisserie. As you can see, this rotisserie I made from a couple of engine stands. If you look back at some of my previous videos, you'll see it on there. So basically, we've got the chassis up on a rotisserie, and the first thing I've done, if you look at it closely, you can see it's quite shiny and clean. Well, I gave it a quick wash, and then I'm going around with ordinary turpentine and a paintbrush and going on and just getting rid of the wax oil, because as you can see in areas like this here, you can see where I've brushed the wax oil in behind the fuel filter area. So I just need to remove that now, ready for painting. But what you'll also see is, like in areas where some I haven't cleaned, you can see here, what happens is, this is the beauty of wax oil. The wax oil has been sprayed on the inside of the chassis and it creeps, it sort of wanders along the surface for years. And this was put on, you know, like 9.5 years ago. And you can see how it's crept out of these holes and it creeps around. So basically, and you see the same here, here, everywhere there's a hole, you can see it's crept out. And what I've got to do, you see the same here, look, there. So I'm just removing this now with white spirit before I go around and do some prep work. Now, my plan is, I've bought this little, take you over here, this sandblaster. Remember I did a review of this little pot blaster thing, bloody brilliant. Once you get the settings right, absolutely brilliant. You can see I use about sort of 50% air, 50% sand. There's a lever on the bottom. Change the nozzle, change the gun for one of these. The one that comes with it is rubbish. Just get one of these cheap off eBay, and that kind of pulls like a trio like that. Absolutely brilliant. It is a fantastic bit of kit. The one downfall to it is, if I can get the angle down here and show you, but the actual downfall of it is the shape of the cylinder. As you can see, it's quite flat on top and bottom rather than being very domed. So once the sand gets sort of below 6 inches from the bottom, it doesn't really want to go down anymore. So I bought this on Amazon for like 20 odd quid or something, and it's just a cheap Chinese piece of junk really, but I just want to go around and locally, like the areas down like in here, I just want to go around and locally get in there and just blast these areas rather than be pumping sand everywhere. One of the issues I had when I painted the axles, you can see there's the axles over there all painted. You know, you sandblast them, and then you go in there with an air gun and blast it all out like 100 psi. You come around with a paint gun at 30 psi and it blasts sand everywhere. So, you know, you've got to get in every single nook and cranny, but the paint always sort of finds it. But that's just a couple of coats on there. These things are over in the corner of the garage, tied to the engine crane to make sure they don't fall over. But there we go. So what I want to talk about first of all with this engine is, with this chassis, is rust. And I want to show you something. So let me get this camera set up down in this area here, and I'll show you something to look out for on your Defender. I'm not sure if this would affect earlier models, but it's certainly affecting Pumas. It probably affects TD5s as well. So let me get this set up and we'll go from there. Okay, so a couple of things to look out for. Here, you can see this spot here. You can see that inside there, you can see rings. That is where there's been an air bubble in the paint, or there was a grease spot on the chassis or something when it was dipped. You can see that it's just bare steel. So I've come along and just found that, and it's just removed, we should focus, it's just removed the paint and left that behind. So that would rust in no time at all. The other thing we need to look out for is spidering. Now I'm going to try and play with the light here to get this right. Here we go. So you can see this here. This one here I'm talking about, this is called spidering. You can see we've got a spot weld there, and underneath we've got some rust which has started, and you can see we've got a track. What can be? It's like a road map, and you can see that the tracking around it there. So if I zoom you in, so you can see that now, okay? Now I'll show you what's under there. If I come along and scrape this, just gently scrape over it, you will see straight away under there you can see it's rust. And that rust is tracking along underneath the paint. Okay, you can see it there. See the rust is tracking along underneath the paint. And basically, okay, there you go. Basically I'll just keep going and going until it gets hold of everything. You can see there's some more right next to it over here. There's some more there. And we've got some more there. More here. More here. It's everywhere. And that is basically what's going to kill your chassis. And it's that on the inside that's going to kill it. The other thing that kills it is you can see here, around the welds, there's no prep. There's no weld prep. So what we get is, see here, this paint is just all flaking off and underneath it is rust. Okay, so this has never been off-road. Okay, it's been used in all weathers, in the winter and the snow and everything, but it's never been off-road. So it's been hit by salt and everything, but it's never been sort of covered in mud. But when I bought this, I brought it home and wax sawed it inside, so the inside of the chassis is spotless. I've shown you that before in previous videos. But you can see this is the problem, and this is where the rust starts, and this is where it takes hold. If you're in America watching this and you're a Land Rover enthusiast, you've got this to come, guys. This is nearly 10 years old, and basically, you know, I think you'll have to wait 25 years to get them. So this is coming your way. In fact, it'll probably be rotten by the time they get to you. But there we go. That's the sort of issues you need to be looking for with your rust. Alright, so let's have a talk about build quality. Something worth looking out for. I've shown this before, but I'm going to show it again. This is where the crossmember bolts, just to give you an idea where we are. Here's the chassis, here's the front spring mounting, here's the outriggers for the bulkhead, engine mounts there, and then we got this here where the gearbox crossmember goes. Now, I don't know why it's called a gearbox crossmember, because it does nothing to the gearbox, it's just underneath the gearbox, that's all. This is bolting, and you can see they bolt it in before the chassis is painted, so wherever the metal faces meet, you get rust because the paint can't get in there. They don't pre-paint anything, so you've got this here, and then the adjoining parts of the crossmember are exactly the same. They're rusty, the same as this is, so something worth looking out for. Also back here there's a bolt that's put in before it's painted, so you get rust starting under there. And the build quality just isn't that great. You can see here the sheet metal's all bulged up, and it's the same on the other side as well, where it's kind of distorted almost. It's weird. But some of the welds are very nice. I mean, this weld here is lovely. Where was I? So this weld here is gorgeous. It's really nice. So yeah, there's good points about it as well. Now, my biggest concern with this is the rear crossmember. If I can find some pictures, I'll put them up now. If you look at old Defenders, the rear crossmember always sat within the body nice and straight. So what I'm saying is when you actually looked at the back end, you had the area where the lights are either side of the door and the door itself, and everything was flush. If you dropped a plumb line down the back of the bodywork, it would run down, and it would run down here, level with the crossmember, level there, and then level there. With the newer ones, TD5 onwards, they've got distortion and they bend inwards. Now I'm not sure if you can see that here, but I've basically dropped a plumb line. And when you go to just to show the chassis drawings, there's a drawing here that's in the manual. Once again, manual's out of date. This is a TDI chassis. You've got a line across here, and there's this reference here or something, I think, but there's no actual reference to where that line is. Now I've done some measurements and I've worked out that actually that line is the center of these two holes here. There's one here and there's one down on the other end, just inside the exhaust mounting. You've got two holes here inboard of the chassis rails. That's not them. These two holes here, the centers of those, they are the holes that they're referring to. So if you drop a plumb line across those holes, I'm going to come back so you can see where they are. We've got one hole. It's very difficult to see. There we go, you've got the light coming through it now. So you've got one hole here, look. Okay, there. And then you've got another one down here somewhere. It's down here, behind that plumb line. So that's your dimension where you measure back from. And I've basically measured from the center of the spring mount and also from the body mount here, the tub mount. Now, as I say, if you look here, you can see, if you follow that plumb line down, you can see that the top of the cross member is angled in. Okay, so let's have a look at my findings and see where we're going to go from here. Okay, so we get, this is the boring bit. So basically, if we imagine this line here, this line I've drawn through the centre of these two holes is correct, and that is the datum line, then basically, if we measure from that line, or the centre of that hole to the centre of that spring, it should be around 588 millimetres, and it's actually about 583, 584. Okay, so that's, say it's 4 millimetres short. And then from this tab mount here, it should be 1,242, and it is about 1,236. Okay, if we measure from the back of the cross member at the centre to that line, we've got 66 millimetres. Let's measure up here, it's only 60. The end of this cross member is bending in 6 millimetres. So when it's actually on the truck, on the Land Rover, this is actually sat in. So the bottom of the door, where you've got that strip across the bottom of the door, it comes along here, and then you've got a lovely straight line where it goes straight along, and you've got the cutout at the back where the rear quarter is, and this is actually sunk in. So if you put a spare wheel mount or steps or whatever on here, you've got to space it out to bring it out to the body by about 6 millimetres. I hate that. It just really annoys me whenever I see a sort of TD5 and later Land Rover. They've always got that problem, and it's like GKN changed their clamping process during welding or something, and when they've done some welding in this area, it's pulled it all in. So I want to cut it about and pull it all out. Now I've got some ideas about how to do it. One of them is literally just to slit along here, top and bottom, staying as far away as you can from this edge to remain rigidity, and then that should just spring out because it's probably under tension, and then just weld a fillet in there. So basically the back of the cross member is straight. You've retained all the welding from the factory and all the bracketry around here, and it's simple because there's all welds inside here that have to be cut out if you're going to move the whole cross member. So that's the simplest way to do it, is just cut down through there and then put a fillet in, 2 millimetre steel, weld it in, grind it and dress it, it'll look lovely. This is all hidden by the body anyway, so no one's going to see it, and you can get to inside to deal with the back of the weld as well. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to cut. You need to cut from the top here because you won't get anything inside there to cut the weld. There's a weld here, there's a weld here, we need to cut them away. And then what we could do is cut along here and across there, and then this whole end of the cross member will come back. We do the same on top and bottom. I don't know, let me know what you think, guys. I want to know if anyone's actually done this, how you went about it, because it's something I'm going to do. I can't stand to see the bodywork hanging out the back here. It just does my head in. So it's something I'm going to do, but I'm just asking you guys, have any of you ever actually done it, and how have you done it? Because I think obviously the easiest way is going to be to cut it, but the proper way I think is to cut it along here, down here, remove these welds from in here, do the same on the bottom, and then the whole cross member with all its internals and that at the end will come back. We'll have to cut around. I'll move the camera then to show you what I'm talking about. We'll have to cut around the jacking point and go from there. Let me get the camera moved and show you what I'm on about, cutting about on the inside. Okay, so this is the inside of the driver's side rear cross member. You can see here we've got the back end of the jacking eye. This is the jacking point here where you put your high lift jack in through the cross member, and you can see here that it's basically welded around the top there. So what I was thinking was to put a hole saw over that tube and allow it to come out. Now that's if you do the option where we just slit down through and basically let the outside move independent of the inside. The other thing to do is cut away here, cut away down here, and allow this whole section, this whole box section, to move away from all of this, and then just fill this gap in here. So you could cut it there, or you could cut it there. Sorry, you could cut it there, or you could cut it there, and basically see what happens. Obviously these little fillets here would have to be removed on both sides. Let me know what you think, guys. If any of you've done it or not done it. I mean, you probably think I'm crazy. I don't want anybody to say don't bother, because it's something I am going to do because it annoys me intensely. So, yeah, there we go, guys. I'm just looking for a bit of advice if you've done it. So thanks for watching this. I'm sorry if it's been a bit boring or a bit drawn out, but I just wanted to sort of show you where we are. And this is one of the problems with this garage. I mean, yesterday I'm over here building a gearbox on the bench, and now I'm going to be cutting and grinding again. So yeah, basically this is the problem when you've just got a double garage to work out of rather than a proper workshop with different areas to do different jobs. But you can see how the chassis comes up when you look at it here. You know, this is with the dirt and the wax on and everything, and then when it's cleaned off with the turpentine, it kind of looks half presentable. You know, but don't be fooled. That paint is not very good. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.